The victory of the Islamic Revolution was really the act by, miraculous act by Imam Khomeini, rahmatullah alayh, who took the Shia and threw them onto the stage of world history. Because before that, Shias, by and large, were content with being mazloom and crying about their troubles in the world. We brothers who had converted to Sunnism began to ask questions. What is this madhab called Shia? Where did it come from? What kind of Islam is this? And we began to try to get our hands on as much material as possible to understand this beautiful phenomenon that was unfolding in our time, in our history. The result of this was that we had discovered that in the history of Islam, there were really two parties. One party being those who are concerned with getting power, getting wealth, and another party that was simply the party that upholded the rights of the Ahlulbait alayhim salam. For us, it was extremely clear which party was on the path of truth. We discovered that this party that was the party of the Ahlul Bayt, along with the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam themselves, suffered greatly during the course of history. And out of this suffering grew a beautiful flower known as the flower of the love of martyrdom, known as the culture of Ashura. And we could see the role of this culture in bringing down one of the most powerful, oppressive governments in the Middle East. I tell you, brothers, that this system in the world right now, they are not afraid as much of Sunnism as they are afraid of Shia Islam. They are terrified of Shia Islam. And their terror for Shia Islam is what makes me very glad. Because this deen of Shia is based on love for Allah, and love for Allah cannot be achieved without loving the Ahlul Bayt, who are the manifestations, the physical manifestations of the names of Allah. It cannot be imagined. And love for the Ahlul Bayt is the source of love for each other, and love for ourselves, and love for truth. And the other pillar that this deen of ours is based upon is the lack of fear of death. The lack of fear of death, the love for martyrdom. And these two factors scare the living daylights out of the oppressor. I don't know if you can translate. And the system of kufr, the system of oppression in this society, in this world today, is not based on love. It is based upon satisfying one's desires, which they misinterpret as love. Selfishness is not based on love. This system is based upon the fear of death. They say to you, try to live as well as you could and forget about death. And our deen, this deen of the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, is diametrically opposed to this, diametrically opposite to this. So therefore this deen of Shia stands as a threat to that system. In our deen, love is our blood and death is our friend. And the oppressor, realizing this, realizes that he can never defeat someone who believes in this way. With this type of attitude, one Shia is equal to 1,000 normal Muslims in my city, Toronto, the brothers who became Shia, we did not know much. We could not read Arabic. We couldn't even read Farsi. We had to depend upon books that were translated. Most of these books were Sunni books in order to educate ourselves about Islam. But when we went out on the street and when we did Tableegh, the Wahhabis were afraid of us. Because truth is not what comes out on your tongue. Truth is what is in your heart. Truth is your being. And being Shia and walking around with the light of the Ahlulbait in our hearts were enough to illuminate the path of truth to the people. Because what is Tableegh? Tableegh is really nothing more than jihad. Tableegh is nothing more than jihad. The jihad against one's own ignorance, or the jihad against all those forces that threaten to keep us aware of the truth. This is Tableegh. Some people tell me that some Muslims tell me that oh, you Ahmad, you are better than me. You came from Masihi, you become Muslim. I grew up as a Muslim. This is my religion, but you chose this religion, and therefore you are better than me. This is not true. This is not correct. Every time we see a problem in our lives or in our society that we recognize to be an enemy of Islam, it is our duty to be Imam Hussein. And every time you do not want to rise up against that, you're nothing but a damn kufan. I don't want to repeat it. Every time you do not rise up against that particular system or situation that threatens to keep us ignorant or threatens to keep Islam from flowering, we're nothing but a damn kufan, the people of Kufa. Many of us think that this whole tragedy of Karbala is something in history. It's not in history. It's here. It's everywhere. This is what this revolution taught me. It is everywhere. Right? One morning we get up, we are Imam Hussein alayhi salam. And next morning you get up, do not be surprised, you are a Shibr. Another morning you get up, you're a Kufan. Another morning you wake up, you're Ibn Ziyad. And it is if we remain Hussein, this is where our influence on history, on America, will take place. Every time we crush our Nafs al-Lawwama, what do we crush? We crush our Hussein. That means we are Shia. This path of Shiaism is a self-critical path. It's a self-critical path, right? In looking at our history, in looking at our beliefs, we are forced to look at ourselves and criticize ourselves. And if we are honest about this will make us better people. Wherever we are. Wherever we are. You could be living in Toronto or you could be living in Qom. It makes no difference. Once we are on that path, we would be a light for the whole world to see. If we are not on that path, may Allah send His curses down upon us and put us in the hell with those kufans. Right now, the West is in trouble. The West is in big trouble. Every day in the paper you hear about somebody killing 5 people, 10 people, 20 people with a gun in some school or in some place of work. Women are getting more rights. Women are getting more power in the government and in the economy. But they cannot walk the street alone at night. This idea of equality between men and women has gone so far that in society people perceive no difference whatsoever. So even the idea of a man being pregnant is one that is appealing to them. It is only among the communities of Muslims, of sincere Muslims in America, in the West, that people find a relief from this type of ignorance.